we, as like a human species, go to great lengths to avoid, right? You check the weather forecast before you leave home, you check the traffic report. We want to know, given sort of A and B's input, what is C going to be? And you have no such consolation in highly selective college admissions. Though, if you're interested in the history of higher education like I am, the last 3 decades has seen the rise of a literally multi-billion-dollar industry, right, to capitalize on your uncertainty. You can go to any bookstore in the nation, including all the bookstores in Harvard Square, and find many college guidebooks, right, where you can flip the pages, open up to Harvard University, and it's this GPA, this test score, this number of blue ribbons and gold medals, and it sort of gives you the idea that, you know, sort of rip it out, add water, and then boom, there's your acceptance letter. And that's not how highly selective college admissions works. And those guidebooks aren't really going to offer you very much, frankly. And the reason why is because all of these sort of college guides are really fixated on objective qualifications. And that's the tempting thing to hold on to, right? You want a hard number, right? If I get this score, if I get this GPA, these objective credentials, that's what I need. And I'm here to give you the depressing news, which is that highly selective college admissions is not about the objective credentials. Highly selective college admissions is not about merit. It can't be, right? This year, we received 39,041 applications for our freshman class, and we have 1,665 sets for them to sleep in. For those of you who are frantically doing the math, that's about 5%. And there are more than 1,665 students who applied who are objectively qualified, right? Who have done very well in school. What does it even mean to do well in school, right? All of these things are so subjective. What does it mean to earn a spot at Harvard? What does it mean to deserve a spot at Harvard? Your acceptance letter is not a gold star for having done well. Instead, our process is about fit, which is what we think is really the only fair way to approach this, right? Who is going to be a good fit for what it is that we do here? You all should be thinking about fit, talking to the students in the room. What school is going to be a good fit for you? What school is going to push you to try something new? What school is going to expand your horizons? What school is going to make you happy? If I talk to a lot of students, obviously, who are applying to college, and I'll always say, I'm so flattered that you're interested in applying to Harvard. Where else are you looking? I'm like, oh, I'm applying to all of the Ivies, Stanford, and MIT, which is the wrong way to apply to college, right? Because first of all, I mean, applying to 20 schools with a 5% acceptance rate doesn't like add up to 100% and mean you're going to get into one. I am not a statistician, but even I know that's not how it works. But also, those are all very different places. And just to look at schools in the Ivy League, Dartmouth, Harvard, and Columbia are all amazing places, all life-changing, world-class places, all very, very different. And I could not even manufacture a person who would be equally happy at all 3 of those places, right? So if you're interested in Harvard, and if Harvard is your dream school, think about other places that have qualities similar to this, right? What is it about Harvard that you like? Is it the size? Is it its location relative to a major metropolitan area? Is it its approach to academics? Maybe you want something more pre-professional. Maybe you want something with even less structure than Harvard has. You want more urban, more rural. There are no inherently right or wrong answers here. Only answers that are right or wrong for you. And I really, really ask you to think about that seriously. Because I see so many students who end up being unhappy with the schools that they go to because they're thinking about what school is going to look good on their resume, not what school is going to actually serve them well. Sorry, that's my soapbox for the morning. And so you're thinking about fit, but I'm also thinking about fit, as are my colleagues. And we evaluate fit sort of along 3 different metrics. The first is academic fit. This is not us asking who is the smartest person. We're not trying to admit the smartest students who apply to Harvard. We're trying to admit students who are going to be good fits for what it is that we do academically. We are a liberal arts school. That means you could be the best sort of future English scholar in the world, but if all you want to do is read literature and you don't want to study economics and you don't want to study physics and you don't want to study music, you're not going to be a good fit for what it is that we do academically, right? We're not just interested in intellectual vitality, but intellectual curiosity as well. Are you a good fit for the liberal arts? Are you a good member of an academic community? Both Gabby and Solange talked about how this is a collaborative place, right, where students are really encouraging each other, and that's on purpose. And our professors structure their classes in a way that you have to work with each other. And so, are you going to be a good member of that academic community? What does a recommendation will tell us, right? How do you react to setbacks? When you see other students struggling, how do you react? What kinds of questions do you ask? How do you push along the conversation? How do you engage in an academic environment? Those are very, very important for us, engaging academic fit. You'll notice when I was talking about academic fit, what I did not talk about, which are standardized test scores, which are such a small part of this process. Right. The first question I will ask when I read an application is, can the student do the work at Harvard? Which I will look at test scores and your grades. Once I've answered yes or no, and for the vast majority of the time, 75% comfortably who apply to Harvard, the answer is yes, they can do the work. Your test scores stop mattering. Okay? So stop fixating on getting a perfect score, because I genuinely don't care. And we reject more students with perfect scores than we admit every year, right? Can you do the work? Very going to be a good fit for us academically. Extracurricular fit is important. Harvard students are very busy. There's so much stuff that you can do. We're interested in seeing how you'll fit in there. I don't care what you do in high school. All right? I genuinely don't care. And I don't say that to be flip, but I say it because I talk to a lot of students who feel as though this is like this really perverse point system where it's 5 points for violin, but 6 points for viola, and 9 points for football, because how many students really playing football? That's different. And then an extra like half point for every leadership position you hold above the level of secretary in clubs and organizations in your high school. And that really isn't what this is. We want you to do what it is that makes you happy. I don't care what you do, I care why you do things and how you do things. Because you're going to come here and find new things to do, right? That's why the what isn't that important, right? I'm going to trust you're going to find new interests. I am under no illusion that you know what your passion is yet as a 17-year-old. There's so much more time to find these things. I care. Are you the kind of person who throws yourself into what it is that you do wholeheartedly? Are you the kind of person who is, an impact player, right? Who really makes the difference? Maybe not the leader, the editor-in-chief, as I'm sure you all know. Just because you're the person with the fanciest title doesn't mean you're actually the person who's making a difference, right? Or making the big contribution. We want students who have an impact. Because I know if you're that kind of person, regardless of what it is you end up doing here, you're going to be a good contributor. But extracurriculars are also so much more than just debate and band, right? Maybe you're very involved in your religious community. Maybe you work after school. Maybe you have a significant commute to and from school, and that impacts what it is you have time for. Maybe you have elderly relatives you're caring for. Maybe you have young siblings you're caring for. All of this impacts how it is you're spending your time outside of the classroom. All of that we desperately want to know. So put all of this in there, right? You're dynamic and complex individuals. Please show us these complexities. And then the last part is personal qualities, which is also very important. What do you like as a person? We're a very residential school. Will you be a good roommate? I'm a freshman doctor. I might have to live next door to you for a year of my life. Am I going to be okay with this? Are you going to be a good classmate, a good teammate? God willing, will you be someone's friend? These are all important questions. Because with so many objectively qualified people to apply, the least we can do is admit the nice ones, which we try very hard to do. So, when you're writing your essays, when you're thinking about letters of recommendation, show us what you're actually like. Give us a sense of your voice. When you're writing your essay, it should not be an autobiography. Dear God, I hope you can't write your autobiography so quickly. It should not be a prose form of your resume, because I already know what it is that you do. Show us something else. When you're asking for letters of recommendation, get teachers who like you. I know that sounds intuitive, but it apparently is not, based on all of this recommendation. Just because your BC calculus teacher is, known to be a hard ass and never gives anyone an A, but you got an A, doesn't mean you're going to get a very good letter of recommendation, right? Get teachers who know you and like you. Ask them for their letters of recommendation early, and then also write them a handwritten thank you note afterwards, because I'm Southern and I believe in the power of a handwritten thank you note, or because my mom is a teacher and I know how much work they do for you. Really sort of show them your appreciation, because they'll mean a lot to them. So academics, extracurriculars, personal qualities, no one part is more important than the other. Frankly, you have to have them all going for you to get it. But ours is a holistic process. That means we're interested in you as a three-dimensional human being and all the things that sort of shaped you to be who it is that you are. We want to know about it. And we talk about every applicant, and no one person makes a decision by themselves. I'd be terrified to have that much power. I have 35 colleagues, and we sit around a giant table for basically 5 straight months, and we talk about every applicant. And every application is looked at by multiple people, and we're asking these same questions that I've already told you, right? Fine, this person's obviously perfectly smart, but what are their peer interactions like? Where do you see someone plugging in? What kind of a roommate do you think this person is going to be? These are the questions that we're asking each other. And our process is a process of advocacy, right? It's my job to make the case for every application I read as to why they should be admitted. We are not looking for reasons to reject applications. We're looking for reasons to admit them. And I can't tell you how many applications I read, and it's late at night, and I just get so excited by how awesome this young person is, and I jump up and I spill my coffee, and I take the case to the committee, and I make the case, and I push, and sometimes they get in, and sometimes they don't. Which I say to one, let you know that we're also invested in this, right? Because we get to know you, we fall in love with you, and we're so impressed by everything that you've accomplished, and we want you here too. But there are not enough spots for every person who would love to admit, and it's a subjective process. And if we were to run the entire class a second time, we would admit different students, because we are imperfect humans working with imperfect amounts of information to make big decisions. But we do the best that we can. And the only reason why I can sleep at night is because I know that these students who I think are so amazing, even if there doesn't happen to be room for them at Harvard, they're going to go off into amazing places at other amazing institutions. And I know it's easy for me to say that as someone who went to Harvard and works at Harvard, that it's not just the name that appears in your resume that's important, but I'm the only person in my family who went to Harvard. I was the first person in my family to go to college, right? I know that this is important, but what matters so much more than where you go is what you do when you're there. And these are the kinds of students who are going to go on and do amazing things. So, on that depressing note, thank you all very much for coming to this part. We're here to answer questions if you have them, but really please use your tour guides as a resource.